In a recent video, I showed you how I set up test shoots with models so that I can practice and grow my skills. But today, I want to take you inside what that actually looks like, from how I plan each shoot to how I pose and select the retouched images. This is what intentional practice looks like in my studio, and how it's helped me grow my skills faster than anything else. Welcome back, everyone. If you haven't seen my recent video on how to set up test shoots with models for free, then you're going to want to check that out. In today's video, I'm going to follow up on that one, and I'm pulling back the curtain so that you can see how these test shoots actually work and how I use them to grow my skills. From planning to posing to editing, this is the system that has grown my skills year after year, and I know that it can help you too. So almost every day that I'm on Instagram, I will bookmark images that I find inspiring, and I'll come back to them later. Then when I have time to set up a test shoot with a model, I will go through those images and choose a theme that I want to work on. So for instance, let's say that I want to work on hard light, high contrast, black and white portraits. I'll look over all of the images that I've saved on Instagram, and then I'll come up with a mood board that will help me figure out how I want to conduct a shoot. Then I'll send that mood board on to the model or models that I plan on working with, and I'll ask them to select particular images that resonate with them. The reason why I do this is I've already basically decided what I'm going to be doing during the shoot. I just want them to have buy-in and sort of choose things that they like so that they feel included in the process, and then it's far more likely that they're going to show up that day. And it doesn't really matter to me which image they pick because I've already stacked the deck in my favor and selected images that I think would be good to use for inspiration during the shoot. It used to be that on my testing days, I would schedule 2 models 3 hours apart. And the reason why I did that was because if one of them flaked out and didn't show up, then the day wasn't lost. I would either start late or I would end early, and everything would be fine. I would still get to practice that day and grow my skills. Over time, though, the length of these shoots has sort of started to grow a little bit, and I've gotten into shooting for 3 to 5 hours. And whereas I used to book those 2 models in one day, I started only booking 1, and it's worked out okay. If I could find some wood here, I'll knock on it. But the reason why I think it's working out okay is probably because I'm just a little more skilled as a photographer now, and the models are probably seeing my work and getting a better idea through reels as to what they're going to end up with. And that's helping me to probably have them show up and, and participate in the shoot. The other thing that I'm sure is working out is the communication I'm having with them in advance, where I'm showing them a mood board, I'm getting their buy-in on particular things they like, I'm asking them if they need anything for their portfolio, that sort of thing. And that's probably also increasing that buy-in as well. Now, the reason why these shoots are stretching out into being about 5 hours is because if I'm trying a number of things that are new that I've not done before, then it's going to take me a little bit longer to figure those out. So I will go through usually and select things that are new to me that I've never done before, because I want that particular thing that I'm working on that day to teach me something. And it might be that originally that I might sort of just copy what's there in the inspiration image. That's okay if you do that, despite what a number of people might say. I find that it's easier for me just to control all the variables and just try to recreate that one thing rather than trying to take that one thing as inspiration right out of the box the very first time and then trying to put my own elaborate spin on it. Once I have recreated that one thing and practiced and figured out what that photographer did in order to recreate those images, then the next time that I try that concept, I build on it. And maybe I will keep doing that particular thing over and over and over again in my workshops. And each time I do it, I'm learning something new. I'm getting a little bit of a new nuance about it that I like. And I'm actually growing and learning and adapting that one thing. And then, really making it my own over time. Learning is really the goal here. So don't stress out about trying to, take some inspiration image and really make it your own right off the bat. Just try to learn that one thing and let it grow over time. Really what I'm doing here though is I'm practicing lighting, I'm practicing directing, and I'm really getting full control over all of my gear so that I can move on and adapt and make something new. Once I've got the lighting under control on the set, then it comes time to get the model in there. But what are they going to wear? So I will circulate a mood board with them that is sort of explaining the types of clothes that I would like them to bring. So if I'm doing this high contrast black and white look, I'm probably going to tell them to stick with blacks, whites, and grays, and monochromatic patterns. That would be normally a nice way to work in that genre. Maybe I'm going to tell them that I'd like them to wear vintage clothing from the black and white era, and that may add, a whole flair to it as well. It might be that if I'm working with colored light or colored gels, for instance, that I might tell them to wear reflective, shiny fabric. It might be a purple sequin dress, or it might be a silver top that's going to reflect light, or a leather jacket that's going to reflect colored light back into the camera. These are things that I'm going to think about. If I'm going for that painterly portrait look, then I'm probably going to go for a suit look on a guy, or maybe a really nice dress on a woman that fits into that Vanity Fair sort of genre. So that's what I would be thinking about with styling. Once the subject is on set, I'm going to tackle the posing. Now, a friend said that my posing is pretty much reactive rather than active. And the reason why that is because I like to encourage people to move and try different things and just see how it works out, but then also look out for things that are wrong. If they're gripping their arms really tightly, then the viewer's eyes are going to go to their arms or wherever their hand is that's gripped really tight. So my friend Mike put it one day that tension draws attention, and I'll link to his Instagram on the screen. And I thought that was a great way to summarize things, because really, when the person is stiff and they're showing that tension in their hands, or maybe they're making a fist, or maybe their ankle is in an awkward angle, that's where our eyes are going to go, because that's where the tension is. So I will look out for those things and correct them along the way. Now, I will tell the person I'd like them to try to get their next top model on and to try different poses. And if it really goes poorly, then I'm just going to probably grab a picture that I've taken before and pose them like a mannequin. I'll hold it up on my phone and say, hey, do exactly this, and I'll get them into that pose. But I would much rather have things develop organically than to fully control them. So it really just depends on your particular style. You might want to be organic. It's going to take a little bit longer. I'll also tell them, hey, look, we're going to take a lot of pictures. Many of them are going to suck. Don't worry about it. We will find good ones. I will get you in the right place to make the right images. If that's not a good process for you, you want to control things, that's fine. Go ahead and show them a picture, have them get in that position, and execute that exact pose that you're looking for. Either option or a hybrid will work. It's really up to you. There is one exception though to the posing and art direction thing that I can think of right off the bat. Where I don't have as much input as I said earlier, and that is when I work with dancers. Because dancers have worked their entire career in order to look good in front of an audience. And instead of having an audience, we're going to put our camera in that position. So I will oftentimes let them come up with the poses that they want to do, and maybe I'll guide them a little bit into a slightly different pose, have them go through a motion, look and see where the best frozen moment would be in that motion, and go with it. But I might also just let them drive and come up with the poses that they want to do. I might give them direction like saying, hey, let's have some jumping, or hey, let's change your styling so that it's monochromatic and it matches the background like I did with this shoot. This pose that you see here was an image that actually got a fairly high award in the Professional Photographers of America's monthly contest called Merit Image Review. It got Image Excellence, which is the top rating. And this particular pose is not something at all that I thought about or came up with. The guys came up with it all on their own, and it was probably my favorite photo from the last year or so. So I couldn't be happier with this outcome. I might show the dancers a mood board where they can draw inspiration from a few photos, but I try to keep it loose and just let things go and see what develops overall. All right, after the photo shoot, it's time for me to cull down my images. I might shoot 300 to 600 images during that 3 to 5 hour session. And sometimes I can get them edited all the way down. But what does all the way down mean? So typically what I say to the models is that I will give them 1 or 2 images per look. Now, sometimes this is really 1 or 2 images, and sometimes it is 3 to 4 images. It just depends. But I make that promise of 1 to 2, and then I usually exceed it. So I will go through and I'll cull down my images, and sometimes I'll be able to get down to those final selects, but sometimes I won't. And then I might get them down to 30 or 35 images. At that point, I'll circulate those photos with my friends and ask them for their input. I'll take a screenshot of the final 3 to 6 images for a given look, and I will send it on to them, and I will ask them to vote for their 2 favorite, and then I'll tally up all the images that they voted for with little tick marks on each one, and then I'll be able to see which one of the images from that look got the most votes. And usually, that is the image that I go for. Although sometimes going through this process helps me sort of filter out the noise and see, I really do love that image overall. And yeah, it might have come in second, but let me just go ahead and retouch the one that came in first and the one that came in second. And that way, everyone will be happy. And speaking of keeping people happy, when I do get it down to those 30 or 35 images, I might ask the model to chime in and let me know which image that they would vote for each strip. And if the model, the filtering I do here is if I feel that the model is really high maintenance and is going to try to get me to give them 35 retouched images, then I won't even involve the model in this process. But if I trust them and I've worked with them for a few shoots, then I will most definitely invite them into this process. And you know what? Maybe the picture that they choose that they really like is not the one that my friends and I chose. And if that's the case, I don't have a problem retouching that photo for them if they tell me that they really, really love it. Because if they love it, that's great. I want them to feel happy, and I want them to feel like they got what they wanted out of the shoot. And also, if it was in my top 35, what does it matter to me if it wasn't, in the top 2 and the model really loves it? I might as well give them that image too. So when it comes to retouching, I have sort of wavered between doing the minimum, which would be removing blemishes and flyaways and cleaning up the background and any styling problems that I see, to starting to do more as post-production and AI made that possible, and also outsourcing my retouching to a retoucher. And so just try to keep it in mind, though, that you might want to do less if your subject is a actual working model. But don't worry about it if your style is doing a lot of post-production. Then go ahead and do that. Make yourself happy through this process. Just know that your end destination for your work might have a particular preferred level of retouching, and you might produce your work to that level, what's appropriate for that type of work. Or you might go all out and make the most artistic, cool image that you want to make. But for the most part, when I do these test shoots, I have an idea going into it. I've communicated with the subjects what I want to do, and I go ahead and I execute that. Because this is a process in which I can learn and improve my skills and also come up with content for my website and social media. And for me particularly, coming up with content for YouTube so that I can help you learn as well. And if my workflow for test shoots doesn't work for you, come up with your own workflow. Come up with your own structure that will help you execute a concept and get the shots and test things out and get some images that you're looking for and grow your skills along the way, because that's what matters the most, is that we just don't sit here and coast through life. I'm sure I did that for a period of time in my career. You always want to be pushing yourself and trying to get to the next level so that you can build your skills and grow. I think that's what photography is all about, improving ourselves as time goes on with every shoot. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those below. Also, you might consider attending one of my in-person workshops. That's a great way to grow your skills. You can also check out my online members-only learning platform, the Academy with John Gress. Remember to like, subscribe, and sign up for the bell. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon.